So initially, I wanted to do about the 5 vanilla legendary creatures that came out in Aetherdrift. I couldn't really find a good explanation in game or lore wise for why there are vanilla legendaries in this set. And in going down that rabbit hole, I found out that they're all from the same plane. So they're all from Muraganda, which we do go to in Aetherdrift. And they're kind of the best explanation that I could find is that it might be like a vanilla matters plane, which is really only represented by the card Muraganda and petroglyphs. I'll kind of go over Muraganda because that's what I ended up researching in this video. So I don't know if anybody else thought it was odd to see the dinosaurs and ooze when like spoilers came out. Like this is clearly a magical NASCAR type set, and they seemed a little out of place. Like they're not racers, obviously. So all of them, the dinosaurs and ooze cards, are from Muraganda, and all of the tyrants, which are the vanilla legendary creatures, as well as most of the vanilla creatures, are also from Muraganda. So the plane itself is kind of like, it gave me like Ixalan vibes. Like it's very much a Jurassic, prehistoric, primordial type plane. There are humans in it. There are other like sentient beings as well. And it was originally a future sight card in Time Spiral. So that's the first mention that we have of it. The future sight cards are cards that we haven't actually explored story-wise yet, but we may in the future. So it was originally Mark on Petroglyphs came out in 2007, and Time Spiral came out in Time Spiral Remastered as well. And then we didn't really touch on it until 2023 during the plane chase. We got a plane for it. Side note, I absolutely loved plane chase. I feel like nobody plays it and they should. But so we got to see the actual plane there. And then since then, so obviously we kind of touched on it, like it got invaded by Phyrexia and didn't really do anything with it until Aetherdrift. So the main ruling group there, or de facto ruling group, is the Saurid Autocracy. They are the most technologically advanced group. We don't really hear of much of the other groups. We do see the Fang Druids in the story. So if you follow like the Magic Story podcast or read the web stories, they have a representative of the Fang Druids there who is clearly not happy. And in some of the flavor text, we can see on one of the tyrants, they describe the Sardar autocracy as making decisions for the plane that the rest of the inhabitants of the plane are not happy with. And I think that's a really interesting tie-in that touches on like the whole set overall. We have the Kaladesh and renaming of Kaladesh to Avishkar, and that was a very political change, and we could see themes of like colonialization and imperialism in the storyline through that in-world change. And then on Maraganda, we can see the further themes of like colonialism mirrored there, which and I actually just had to kind of pause and do a double take. So I wrote down in my research that the Saraditocracy worked with Omenket to build the racetrack through Maraganda, and that seemed weird to me, but no, that is correct. So they worked with Omenket, and whereas Avishkar from like Kaladesh is kind of like the host of the race. We don't really hear a lot about the politics on Omenket or what they were contributing to the race. But I guess the Omen path goes through Omenket first and then to Muraganda. So they're actually connected, and maybe that's why they worked with them. But it seems like they blame Omenket for the racetrack going through Muraganda. So that's another interesting note. It was kind of a neat tie in with just the overall political theme here. And then the other groups, so there are oozes, obviously. They are treated really well by the Sarditocracy, even as far as treating Marmoplasm as a god. They want to be, quote, one with the holy jelly. After death, they put people in the Marmoplasm in the ooze. And interesting. Other groups that we hear about are Scar Witches, Fang Druids, Raiders of Taluset, which include Null Mages. By the way, all of those names are super metal. Then we get Glyph Hunters, Lay Mages, and Wandering Scribes. One thing, I couldn't find a lot about the Lay Mages, so on the Coral Tyrant card, the blue Tyrant, Galornia, in her flavor text, it says that safe from Muraganda's moonfall is feeding on the raw ley lines that run below the water. So I'm wondering if like there's anything that has to do with her and the Lay Mages. Again, both are really not mentioned much. Oh, and the Glyph Hunters. So they are referenced as going after the petroglyphs. So we hear that there was a civilization a long time ago, eons before all of this, that ended up collapsing, and they were a technologically and magically advanced civilization. They left behind their petroglyphs, they left behind residual magic, like Thran style, just to it ended up messing up a lot of the ecosystem and is what the current inhabitants of Muraganda are learning how to use or working with now. It's kind of interestingly referenced there. Yeah, I do hope we see more of this plane in the future. I love anything with the magic dinosaur crossover, and I think there's some really interesting politics at play here. Bye. Thank you for watching, and go dust off your plane chase decks. Thank you.